Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and today we're joined by Derek Binder to discuss the latest character to be announced for Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS, Sonic the Hedgehog. So let's get started. Okay Derek, so Nintendo just announced that Sonic's coming back in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS, and I know, as a huge Sonic fan, you're probably pretty stoked for this, right?
You have some ideas since you were there during the Nintendo Direct. I believe my exact words were bleep yeah Sonic during the Direct when I was talking to you.
Yeah, you seemed really excited.
Yeah, I was just because you always had that hope that he would actually show up again, and to see him there now with Mario and Sonic, Mario and Mega Man. It's cool because you had that hope that he would come back, and lo and behold, here he is.
Right, yeah, in his full blue blur glory, as they kept referring to him in the Direct. Right, so from what we've seen in the trailer, he looks identical to his appearance in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, I don't think, they didn't show off every move, of course, but everything we've seen looks to be the exact same, including his specials. At least the ones that involve him turning into a spinball, not a spinball, but what's it called?
To use his spin dash.
His spin dash, right? That that when he turns into a spin dash, which is most of his special attacks. So that's my concern actually. It was awesome having Sonic in the original or in Smash Bros. Brawl. That was a really cool addition. I thought he was a really boring character to play as. All his moves or all his specials felt the same except for his recovery. And it just made it feel like, I don't know, like everything you were doing just felt the same to me. So I guess, what did you think of him originally, and what do you think of him basically looking the same so far?
Well, because I was such a big Sonic fan, I still loved all of his moves. Plus, I couldn't really think of any others that you could really add to him back in the day.
I think you could. You could add like some of his shield power-ups.
Exactly, but you always go off of characters using their basic attacks. I mean, when I think shield power-ups, I don't really think of it as an offensive move, which they could work it into a sort of more defensive move. But he still ended up being one of my favorites in the game. The only thing I didn't like about him was the fact that he had a really hard time knocking other characters out. His moves mostly did chip damage, and you had to really work at them unless you were playing with Final Smashes on, and then he would just wreck.
His Final Smash is insanely good.
Yeah, I could rack up, like, if you're playing against 3 other people, you could probably get 2 kills each if you're good enough using Supersonic. So I wonder if they're going to turn that down a bit.
Yeah, they could. So it would make sense for them to drop that a little bit, then to increase the strength of his other attacks. Because basically, for me at least, I would just keep doing his down smash constantly in order to KO people. Like, that was the only thing he could really KO. I guess his side smash was okay too, but his down smash is really effective.
I like this up smash too, because you could rack up a couple of damage and then you just combo into another like a punch or something.
Right.
You'd find ways to make it work for him, but he wasn't great, but he wasn't exactly terrible, and I did enjoy him.
So was he one of your main characters then in that game?
He was in my top 5.
Okay.
To be used. So yeah, he was. I call that, out of 35 characters, I call that a main.
Yeah, I agree. So is there anything you kind of wish, or any moves you would want to see him have, though? Either replacing something he has, currently, or any ideas for, additions to his moveset you'd like to see?
Yeah, I think everybody would, to some degree, because, as you put it, having all spin dash attacks, while iconic, you need something to mix it up a bit more. And I think they can actually draw inspiration from Lost World.
Right.
Specifically, that his new kick attack, that you could do enemies and you kick them backwards, and you can even send them into other enemies flying, which I think would be a really cool offensive special move for him.
Yeah, especially because I think in Brawl, he mostly had punches, right? He didn't do a lot of kicking or anything.
Yeah, the only main kick move I can think of was his down sweep,
right?
Or when
his
he was
aerial
in midair,
attacks, I think.
Yeah. And that was about it. So I think it'd be cool to see him use that kick move from Lost World in there.
And that kick homes in too in Lost World, right? So maybe it could kind of do the same, like have a loose homing in thing here, maybe.
Yeah, I think that would probably be a good idea to have a sort of a loose, limited homing ability there.
Right.
As far as other moves, I mean, they have his homing attack it wasn't quite as useful as it is in his actual games, but you can kill most things in one hit. So of course his homing attack wasn't that great, but I'd still like to see it powered up just a bit more. I mean, nothing to make it unbalanced, of course, but just make it a little bit more useful, because I just didn't use it too much.
Right.
And you had mentioned shields, but I still can't quite see shields being used in this case.
Were none of them ever? Well, I mean, I would think they could do something with, even as a as a counter or something, you know, where it can, or protects them briefly, you know, like a temporary shield, kind of like I'm trying to think of an example. The best one off the top of my head is, you know, Peach's Toad attack or Peach's Toad counter.
Yeah.
You know, basically something that's, you know, basically his shield, but like a stronger version of that. Oh, you know what? You know what they could? Why couldn't they just use some color powers from, you know, the Lost World and Sonic
Oh my
Colors?
God! I can't believe I didn't think about that myself.
Right? It just occurred to me.
I feel so stupid now. Yeah, I wonder if they'll actually integrate some of the color powers in. Maybe.
I think it'll make a ton of sense. I mean, there's a lot they could do there, like having the drill power, for instance. You know, having him, you know, like,
heck, they could almost replace all of his abilities with color powers. His recovery would be rocket. He could have the spike attack.
Oh, that'll be such a better recovery than that spring.
Well, the spring's kind of classic, but it doesn't make sense that the spring comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's it is retro. I will give it that. So what other ideas did you have? You had the rocket. What else?
Well, they have spikes. Can do that. I mean, you can almost see Asteroid from the new one for his final smash, which would bring in all the enemies. You could try to suck up all the other characters, and then sends them outward once you capture them all.
There's a ton of potential there.
Yeah, there is. Let's try to think of some others. Laser would be. I can't see Laser being too useful in a Smash Brothers setting. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the others.
Yeah, there's a lot. Plus, there might even be a few more we don't even know about yet.
Exactly, and I mean, there's a lot of. I don't think all of them would work in the Smash Brothers setting, but certainly there's a couple that would be really cool. But I don't know if they'll use it or not. I mean, they honestly could.
Well, I mean, it would be awesome if they did. Based on what we're seeing, they're not. However, a lot of people have said that the game's director has said that what we're seeing are placeholder moves. Or rather, some of them may be, or not necessarily placeholder moves, but like some of them, these may not be their final movesets.
Yeah, because I think the way it sounds is it's like they're importing the character from Brawl and having that moveset in there, and then tweaking from that point.
So that's what I'm wondering. So the thing is, it would not make sense for them to be showing off moves if they had to reprogram them back in. So the only thing I can think of is that they are basically able to just lift that raw data from Brawl, bring it back in here, and then modify from there. So maybe they're only showing us basically the original data, the original Brawl stuff, whereas they actually will have different movesets in the final game. I'm really hoping that's the case, because so far practically every character we've seen has had an identical moveset to before.
With only a few slight tweaks here and there.
Right. So I mean, I really do want them to switch it up more, because what we're seeing so far isn't that different, and especially in the case of Sonic, for me, who I found to be dull. There's so much more potential there that they could do to just really make him feel like a really unique, really unique character with unique attributes.
Yeah, I love it, and I think you're right with the colors connection. If they could pull in at least some of those Wisp powers in, that would be really cool. Plus, it cements that Nintendo connection. It
does, and not only that, they're already taking inspiration from Lost World. Because in the trailer and a couple of the screenshots, we get a brief glimpse at what appears to be Sonic's new arena, and it's clearly based, as you mentioned, or as you noted before to me, on Lost World, especially Windy Hill specifically.
Yeah, it seems to be based on Windy Hill Act 1, because you can even see a couple of scenes where there's the rotating platforms that get heavily featured in a couple of the different stages there. It's hard to get a clear look at what the stage will actually be like, because they're such close-ups that you can't quite get a sense. But from that little clip that we got in the trailer, it looks like it'll be quite a different arena, because most arenas are flat, with platforms here and there. The platforms are still there, but Sonic's arena is more sloped, which was kind of like how it was in Brawl, but that was just a dip in the center that would fall away.
I would say this one looks almost more spherical, even like as if it's taking place on a small planet. On a small portion of a small planet.
Yeah, it does seem to it curves a bit more. It almost seems like you're really in one of the levels from Windy Hill.
Right.
Just looking at it, as close up as it actually is.
I think that looks, so far from what we've seen, I think it looks cool. We've seen very little of how it's actually going to play. But I wasn't a huge fan of the original Sonic level. I didn't hate it at all, but
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either.
Exactly, and it mostly, what it usually came down to was just waiting for that checkpoint to appear and just, hitting that. Yeah, exactly.
Smacking somebody into it, yeah.
And then the random holes that appear too are a little bit annoying.
Yeah, it was an okay level, but it could have been better in my mind.
Right.
And this one looks like it's impossible to tell right now, but it looks like it could be better. I wonder if they'll make it, like you said, it looks like it could almost rotate or be spherical.
Ooh,
wouldn't it be interesting if they brought back the concept from Melee with Kraid Stage?
Right. Where the entire thing rotated.
Yep, it spun around.
That'd be really good. That would actually make perfect sense here.
It could work in that sense. I have a feeling that's not the case, but it would be cool to see it work kind of like that.
I like where you're going with that. Yeah, see, we gotta stop thinking these awesome ideas, but we'll only be disappointed when the game comes out.
We're too good at this, apparently.
I know, right? So now there is one more thing to take away from the screenshots, really, and that is his "You're too slow" taunt is clearly back.
Oh yeah, we got a different voice actor for this though, because remember it was the 4Kids version that did his voice work in Brawl, and now we're gonna get his new one, I believe Roger Craig Smith, doing all of his voiceovers this time around.
And that started with Sonic Colors, I believe, right?
Yeah, Sonic Colors was when he got the new voice acting took place.
I like his voice. I never minded his voice at all, but I think the new voice is totally fine. So
yeah, so I wonder if I don't wonder if it'll quite reach the meme status when it's a different voice actor doing it. That's what I mean.
Such a good point. That might ruin it. That was like, whenever I played Sonic, I had to abuse that taunt as much as possible. Like, I'll play mind games. And by mind games, I mean I'll just annoy my opponent to death.
You and everybody else. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think it's sort of iconic, so they couldn't take it out.
Right? No, they definitely couldn't. It has its permanent place now in Smash Brothers. So speaking of having its permanent place, it's not terribly surprising that Sonic's back, but kind of a little bit, kind of almost reassuring.
It's a relief in my mind.
Right, exactly.
Like I had a feeling he'd be back, but you never know.
Yeah, you never quite know, and we never knew if he would be like a one-off character in Brawl. But I guess the fact that Nintendo has re-cemented this relationship makes sense that he would be back. Mm-hmm. So I guess one of the questions is this all we're seeing for third-party characters? Because now we have Mega Man and Sonic. Whereas in Brawl we had Snake and Sonic. So we're up to 2 for both of those games.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a cutoff? Is this all we're seeing for third party characters, or is there anything else, or do you think they might have a third one waiting in the wings?
My gut feeling says this is it for third party characters, because Sakurai's always said that he wants to keep the focus on Nintendo.
Right.
He doesn't want to bring in just tons of third-party characters. We don't want this becoming something like a PlayStation All-Stars.
Right.
It just, you lose that sort of feel. But with Sonic and Mega Man, they both fit so well into the Nintendo canon with all these other characters.
Right.
That you want to see them there. And as for Snake, I don't see him coming back.
Yeah, it does seem unlikely at this point.
I know a lot of people enjoyed playing as him. He was never one of my favorites. I just couldn't get him to work, but I know a lot of other people really loved him, and apparently he was pretty top tier.
Well, he was one of the more technical characters, I would say. Like there was a lot of things to keep track of with him. He had a lot of item-based moves, basically.
Yeah.
So it was a very unique play style.
Yeah, but the key thing here with a lot of the characters we've been seeing is they have games coming up for them.
Right.
Sonic has Lost World. Mega Man has an association with old NES. I'd love to see a new Mega Man game on Wii U or 3DS, but gotta wait.
Well, now that you mention it, that actually kind of works against your argument, I think. Because Mega Man hasn't had anything on Nintendo super recently, has he? Besides the What, the Battle.net series, was it? Or
well, we were almost going to get Legends 3 on the 3DS. So
right.
There's
well,
that.
that's true.
But you think Mega Man, you kind of think Nintendo.
Yeah, it's true. He does have that, kind of entrenched with the Nintendo brand. But you could, well, maybe not to the same extent, but you could kind of say the same thing about Snake. Because he started off on basically Nintendo as well.
Exactly, but I think with Snake, more people associate him with Sony. Yeah, PlayStation. Because even when he was in Brawl, I mean, it worked because, as you said before, he was in Twin Snakes, and we had the original Metal Gear.
Right.
But other than that, not a whole lot. I mean, it was so weird to see them advertising for Metal Gear Solid 4 and Brawl, and that's a PlayStation 3 game.
I'm really surprised that made it through, because you had like the mechs in the background from Metal Gear Solid 4. Mm-hmm. And granted, they were a relatively small detail because it would only pop up. First off, they may not, there were different mechs that would pop up, and they only popped up every now and then.
Yeah.
And even then, they only pop up, after a certain point within the match. But even still, it was weird to see like PS4 exclusive content basically in Brawl.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then of course we had the song in there. It just didn't fit. And I mean, sure, Snake could come back, but with him not having any type of, well, he hasn't had many of the games at all since Brawl. After 4, we've had Metal Gear Solid Rising, and now we have the Metal Gear Solid 5 coming out. But that's still exclusive to everything other than Wii U. So we can't really see. I can't really see Snake coming back.
The only reason I could see maybe another third-party character being here at all is simply because bringing Sonic back, we don't have the same excitement we had when they announced 2 third-party characters before, with Sonic and Snake. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, Sonic's back, cool. Even the trailer itself was pretty, half-hearted. Like it was just a straight-up gameplay trailer.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't quite like the when he was announced in Brawl.
Right. Which makes sense. He's an existing character, and they haven't done it for any other existing characters or anything super special for them. But
it still felt cool to me when I see him crashing the party, the fight between Mario and Mega Man. But still, you're right. It doesn't quite have the same excitement. I mean, I was super psyched, and I'm sure a lot of other Sega fans are super psyched, but it wasn't quite at that. Oh my God, Sonic's with Mario.
So I guess, that's exactly it. So that's maybe my one thought as to why there might be another character left. Well, for a few reasons. One, we still have an ass load of time until the game comes out, presumably. I mean, at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Probably longer than that. And I feel like they need to announce something. They may have to announce something else to closer to release day to make us to really hype up everyone. Especially because Sakurai has said before, what other Nintendo characters can you really use? They've exhausted all the main ones basically. There are very, there's really, they have to go super niche at this point in order to bring back, or in order to bring anyone new to the table.
Yeah, I think the most common one I've heard as far as new was Chrom from Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but even that, it's a Fire Emblem character. They all, to me, I'm not a huge fan of the series. I've only played, the new one really, which I liked. But they all kind of feel like the same to me, basically. You just swap out one sword character with another, right?
Yeah, well, that's what they did with Roy and Ike.
Right, exactly, and so that's probably what they will do here. But I feel like they need to bring in an entirely different character, which they've already done to some extent with the Wii Fit Trainer. Well, I guess that's it so far for first-party characters.
Oh, and Animal Crossing Villager.
Oh, right. How could I forget? And Animal Crossing Villager, right. So yeah, and those. The weird thing about those is those are basically, one of them is an avatar, and the other is like a super generic trainer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where else they can go. I've always been hoping for a Stunt Race FX character, for a Stunt Race FX vehicle.
Oh
to
gosh.
Be in the game.
You could bring. There's still possibilities out there. You can bring in more characters from F-Zero. You could bring in.
That's true.
More characters from Metroid. No more characters from Star Fox. We got 3 already.
God, please no. I would, I kind of want them to just get rid of some Star Fox characters. We have too many. Another F-Zero could be interesting, like the samurai guy.
Yeah, Samurai Goro would probably be the top choice there.
Right. I can't really think.
Yeah, as far as other Nintendo characters, it's so hard to do it just off the top of your head.
It is. I'm sure. There's a lot out there they could bring back.
Exactly.
It's just, narrowing it down to one that makes sense, I guess. But even when you do that, like Wii Fit Trainer doesn't make sense, and by virtue of that, it makes sense. Exactly. All right. Well, any final thoughts on Sonic being back, Derek? At all? Any final things?
No, I'm just excited to see how he plays and see what kind of if any new moves get added to him.
Yeah.
I'm sure Sakurai will be updating his little new picture post each day.
I guess real quick, are there any other Sonic characters you'd want to see back or could see coming back, being a character in this game?
Being a character, there's only one choice.
Knuckles?
No.
Tails.
Tails. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, if you have any other Sonic characters pop up, it has to be one of those three, but you have to go with Tails first.
Right.
I mean, which is odd because I believe I don't think he showed up as an assist trophy.
No.
The assist trophies were, I believe, just Shadow, or did Knuckles make an assist trophy appearance too?
God, I don't remember. I think it was a Shadow, from what I remember.
Yeah, and I know Shadow's really popular, but I think if you're going to go iconic, you got to go with Tails if you're going to have another Sonic character in there.
I think that could be really interesting, especially with him being able to fly.
Yeah, the flight would make him very unique. His affinity with machines could make him unique.
Oh, right. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of... oh, gosh, I just thought of his... his final smash could be really cool. He has two options. One is if you ever got him into super form in the original games, you'd have all these flickies that would fly around him and just just attack everything on screen.
Right.
Which would make a great final smash. Or alternatively, you could have his mech from Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, that would be a Sonic Adventure 2 reference.
Yeah, well, no, Sonic Adventure 2 is usually
it's the better. Yeah, it's not that bad. I really enjoyed the first level at least with the skateboarding or whatever.
Yeah, no, as long as they don't make any reference to dummy rings from Sonic 06, we're good. But yeah, I think Tails would be my top choice if we're going to put another Sonic character in Smash.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Although it does seem unlikely with how rare's been to play Tails in any Sonic game recently.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up for our Sonic discussion in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. So, thanks for joining us, Derek, and thanks to all of you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. There are links in the description below that'll take you there and get you right to all of our inane things that we post, as well as all the actual content that we post. And keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS and other things gaming too. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.